Two unemployed actors. Two unemployed actors. They're just between projects.
Welcome back to Two Unemployed Actors. I'm Max.
I'm Sam.
Huge show today. Literally, I've got lots of notes that I've actually planned. You know, the printed out stuff, and then my
a lot of notes.
It's evolved with all the blue ink all over it. First of all, I woke up today. Huge problem.
Oh no,
pimples. Seriously, I'm 45 years old. Like fucking hell, I'm so immature.
I struggle with that too, but I'm like 20 years younger than you.
I know. I was so immature. I was on set the other day. One of the hair and makeup. She said to me, what are you doing? Like, what's your routine? You got a routine? I said, well, I buy whatever's on special, and that's what I use on my face. She's like, it's soap, isn't it? I'm like, yeah, because I'm like super dry in the middle, but then I'm a teenager everywhere else.
Oh god, not true.
She's like, first of all, don't use soap on your face.
My dad washes with soap on his face.
Well, I know. It's what I've always done. She's like, yeah, stop it. Don't do that. Because that's what dries you out, then you end up all flake, and then make sure when you've got makeup on and everything after set, you just wash off as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
And stop, putting oil on your face. So I'm progressing. I've changed my regime for the first time in like 20 something years.
Brilliant.
Hopefully that'll result in fewer pimples anyway. Because
it will be a shock to your skin at first though. So,
my skin's already shocking. It's like, what the fuck? No. So, because I've got to film an audition piece today for The Agent.
Yep.
Beyond Productions for some
I've heard of
American content, actually. So I've got to do US accent. I've got to dust off my American accent vocal warm-ups.
Oh, yeah.
To help loosen up the different muscles, or using the same muscles in a different way. There's some technical term that makes it sound much more... but I know what I'm doing anyway. It works for me. Something interesting that's happened.
Yes.
I've spoken before about LinkedIn. And Fred, really, I can see you. Just calm down, mate. I'm still here. It hurts every time he fawns all over Sam.
I'm clearly his
favorite. It's like I'm not even here. It's like anyway. LinkedIn, yeah, because I remember when I put up my presenting to camera show reel, I had something like 430 views. It's been watched a total of 234 minutes.
Wow. It's
a long time if you sat there and just watched it over and over again. And it's resulted in already someone I work with actually as a great startup, huge business now, asked me to come on board as the voice of the phone system, and also presenting a few pieces to camera and that, so just sort of refresh their brand.
Cool.
As they sort of bump out of startup mode, and it's all, them filming themselves in the office to a more professional and consistent sort of face. So that's great because that pays the bills. Nice. And also, something happened with LinkedIn on the 1st of April. Creator mode. So already I'm saying, and I have for some time, we've been saying, don't forget about LinkedIn when it comes to maintaining your professional profile as an artist.
Yep, right.
But now they've got creator mode, which they've launched, and that's about showcasing content over work experience.
Okay.
And it also, 50%...
So it's more for creative kind of...
Yeah. So if you're creating original content, whether it's a post, whether it's showcasing a video or whatever it might be, if it's original content, it helps to get people to follow you and engage with you as a creator.
Cool.
It kind of is why haven't you done that at the start? It's one of those ideas that's like, well, duh, totally. It makes sense.
Yeah, right.
50% of new followers come from people looking at your profile. So it changes the connect button to follow. Mm-hmm. So it's a bit more, look, I don't want to formally connect with this person, but interesting as somebody who creates content that relates to me. So I'll click on follow.
Yeah, right.
They can still connect, but the first port of call is just the follow button, which works. So what do you get as a creator? You get your stuff being sort of landing with people who are more likely to engage with it more often. So it kind of bumps you up in that respect. You can select up to 5 hashtags that sort of resonate with you or who you'd imagine your audience to be.
Yep.
And it gives you exclusive access to content tips and tailored best practice stuff. So, which is kind of relates to anything over the whole social media environment, let alone just LinkedIn.
Yeah.
So they're great tips to know. So I'm like, well, it's just made me a bunch of money already, just from my last video I put up. It's getting me out there. When you consider my aside from voiceovers, bread and butter is presenting to camera.
Yep.
And like that, corporate stuff a lot. So it kind of makes sense. It's kind of a natural.
Yeah, sure.
But, when you consider casting directors, all sorts of filmmakers in the creative industries, they're all there on LinkedIn. The studios, all that. I follow all the production companies, they're all on LinkedIn.
Yeah, I got to get on that.
So, yeah, be a part of it. So it kind of, it's like I was ready to say how exciting, it's landed me opportunity after opportunity. But with creator mode, I'm keen to see what happens to me, and I'll keep you guys updated because I just clicked on that button today and became a LinkedIn creator. So we'll see if that actually does anything.
Cool.
But so far, yeah, it's worked. So when you're there with your online platforms, as you normally would in Australia, for example, your StarNow and all that sort of stuff, and keeping your agent happy and your website or whatever, don't forget LinkedIn. Actually works.
There we go.
Speaking of presenting to camera, I had someone contact my agent for a presenting to camera gig. It's presenting to camera, but it's more talking to camera. So I'm acting a role to camera for RSVP.
Okay, right, yeah.
So that was a nice little gig. So I'm getting stuff direct, but also through the agent still.
Yeah, beautiful.
And then I got an audition this afternoon for another bit where I'm playing a role presenting to camera, but in American accent.
The camera, yeah.
So wow, it's all about loving the camera. But in terms of roles, like character roles that I love, ask any actor, playing a role. I've decided against actually auditioning for the new theatre. There's another. I didn't get the role I auditioned for previously.
Oh, there's another one.
There's another one coming up. It's for The Lovely Bones. Great book, great movie.
Yeah, right. I haven't seen the movie yet, but
the dad, the detective, the killer. 3 really cool roles that are very different that I'd go for.
The detective dad killer.
Or it could be all 3.
Yeah, it's all 3.
A detective, a killer, and a father.
Probably.
But no, very different roles and great play. But no, I've decided to pull back because I'm just like, there's so much coming up.
Yeah, sure.
It's really busy.
Take up all this time.
Yeah. So what was I going to say? Something amazing. Presenting to camera, this accent.
As always.
Oh yeah. So I had someone reach out to me the other day on StarNow saying, "Loved your profile. I've written a screenplay, and I think you'd be great as this character." And every now and then I get that, and it's generally 80% sort of student films.
Yep.
10%. I don't know what that is. No. And 10%. Let me have a look at it. And of the let me have a look at it, there are a few times when I look at it and go, yeah, that's really cool.
Okay.
This is one of those times.
Hey, good.
Turns out,
Feature
not
film?
just a filmmaker, but someone who's been creating content for a long time, who lectures, has a PhD, he's a doctor at Newcastle Uni School of Creativity. And it's actually really interesting, an interesting character.
Okay.
It's very much a supporting role,
Is it a feature film though?
Yeah, micro budget.
Okay.
So very much an independent.
Yep.
And a small role, but very much supporting as the father. The protagonist is the daughter. So I'm just, coming in to remind everyone that it is a daughter, yeah. Another father role.
Yeah.
Not so much dark this time, but really interesting. So I'll be looking forward to getting back to him and saying, yeah, mate, thumbs up.
Very good. Awesome.
What have you been up to?
I have been...
After 10 minutes of Max?
Yeah.
Fred, stop eating the cushions. Stop it.
I think I spoke a bit about on last podcast that I had an audition for a play coming up for ATYP, Australian Theatre for Young People.
Yes.
So I auditioned for that. I hear back on Friday.
How was the audition? Like, before we skip over it.
So
is that like, do you get to go there in person?
Yeah, so I got to go there in person, which I prefer over self-tapes.
Same.
Because, so I was actually talking about this the other day. So you have self-tapes where if you don't like your take, do it again, do it as many times as you want, and then send it off. But at the end of the day, it kind of, you get to the same point in both situations, self-tape or going in person. And one of them you're stressing over trying to get it right. The other one you go in, do it once. Both times they only see one performance.
Yep.
And so I prefer, it feels more like a performance in a sense when I go in person, and I actually feel less stressed. And it was quite funny. So I got to it was in Surry Hills.
Okay.
And I was like, I'll be able to park. And so I drove there, and
No, you don't have a Vespa.
I booked the 7:45 p.m. audition, which was the last one.
Wow.
Tactic, doing the last one could go either way.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I was like, I'm going to be late. Like it was
because that's in
close to my
between
time.
people leaving work and people going for dinner and stuff.
Yeah,
Surry
and
Hills
people
is busy.
being at home as well.
Yeah.
So all the cars. So I was like, oh my God, okay. So I parked dinner, no stopping. But it didn't look like a no stopping, so it could have been okay. And then so I ran to the audition. They were running late, so I actually could have. That was actually okay.
Brilliant.
And I was.
Because that's what happens is that the one time you actually turn up late, they'll be on time, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And I'll be skitzing. I'm skitzing about the car.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, look, calm down.
Yep.
If you got a ticket, you'll have it already. Doesn't matter.
Can't
calm
change
down,
that.
breathe.
Yep.
And so when I got in, I felt quite confident.
Okay.
I hope it came off as that. And it was great.
How were they? How many people in the room? Like
there were two of them.
Okay.
So I think there were more throughout the day, but because of the time, there was the director and reader.
Yep.
So that was really cool. And so he said that there's over 60 people auditioning for this one role.
Wow.
Yeah. So so they've already got the other 3 roles they did this performance, I think, in 2019.
Okay.
And they had an original cast.
Yep.
And the original cast member of this role that I auditioned for can't do this 1 week startup season or whatever.
I mean, it's like interrupted by the pandemic. So,
So they're auditioning for this one role. And they're doing an 8-week, 15 venues season tour that they want the original cast for. So we don't get that. They want the original cast of 2019. So unfortunately, we don't get that 8-week one.
What?
Yeah.
Hang on, how does that work? So
the original guy who played this role can't do this startup season moment, but he can do the 8 weeks. So they needed to recast just for like
a fill-in. So it's almost like you're auditioning for an understudy for a few performances.
Yeah, well, the role, yeah,
you know
exactly,
what I mean? Yeah,
exactly, kind of
really,
like that.
Realistically.
Yeah, but it's great, and he said, we now have your file at ATYP, and we get screen test auditions coming through, and so it was great, and it was a great one. So we find out either way on Friday, so we hear from them either way. So that's exciting.
Okay.
And I think I spoke a bit about auditioning for a professional musical called Jagged Little Pill.
Yes.
Still haven't heard anything.
Now, how was that? A self-tape? Refresh my memory.
Yeah, self-tape of pretty much just singing.
Yep.
So that was cool.
Okay.
I also applied so I did a short film. I spoke probably a little bit about it ages ago. It was called I'm Not Gay.
Right.
It's like almost a series of short films amongst like a documentary.
Okay.
And it's actually being screened at Hoyt's, like a premiere coming up soon. But he needs a vocalist for the soundtrack.
Right.
So I applied for that and also texted Nathan.
Yep.
And so I auditioned for that, and I'm in the running. So that could be exciting as well. It'll be paid as well.
Yeah, I think that helps.
So it'd be great. So yeah,
exposure doesn't pay rent.
Exactly. Been doing a little bit of that. Still waiting to hear back from the feature film that I also auditioned for, the feature film concept trailer. She said, we haven't cast yet, but she's like a mother of 3, single mum, doing 4 other productions at the same time, all that stuff. So it's completely understandable.
Blessed.
But I'm super excited.
That's good.
Yeah.
Speaking of short films that we'd spoken about ages ago, do you remember me mentioning Flood and Fire?
Flood and Fire.
I know, right? It's a production that the guys who brought to you Interrogation and we interviewed long ago.
We interviewed them.
Well, Flood and Fire has been up there. It was kind of like Max, we love what you do, but can you just another father role as supporting on this short film called Flood and Fire. We're filming it in a farm out in blah, 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 and it's a great opportunity, blah, blah. And looked at the script. Yep, perfect. Let's lock it in. Happy to work with you guys because even though it's supporting, I know what they're doing. And then there was an actual fire.
Yeah, that's right.
Major bushfires across Australia. And it literally was...
Pre-COVID.
It was pre-COVID. So It should have been called Flood, Fire and Pandemic because I tell you what, we'll never get there. And literally, it wasn't burning, but it was in between two major fires. So if something happened, no one could come and help you because they're all busy fighting major fires. So we decided it's a sensible thing to do, not to go through the fires to film it in this location. So yeah, Pandemic, a few other bits and pieces, just minor hiccups, you know. We're back, and the cast is ready. So into rehearsals on Saturday. So I've got to actually pick up the script and refresh my memory and get into it a bit and get some character notes happening and have a chat to the guys because it's been a while.
Yeah, sure.
And I want to hit it fresh and be organised. I think we're looking to film next month. So
cool.
Mid to late next month. At this rural property. So Saturday is all about, there's like 2 groups of us to go in and they've also want to get family photos for a few of them that they're going to use as props. So, yes, so some more work on Saturday, which will be fine. So yeah, so it's funny because I just like, mate, it's been a while since I've done, you know, these short films. And then I get this tap on the shoulder from Dr. Feature Film up in Newcastle and the boys. Don't forget Flood and Fire.
The universe can hear you.
Flood and Fire is back. So yeah, so it's great because presenting to camera is awesome. It keeps your work fit and there's nothing like bringing dry copy to life. It takes every ounce of your acting talent.
Yep.
Especially if they're changing the script up until when you do it. But it pays the bills. And a great experience. But no, it's great to get into characters again.
Yeah, awesome. It's always good.
So I can't wait to bring them to life. Have a good play. Be the actor that I am. And voiceovers. It's sort of it's funny because as it got busier with all the presenting to camera, the voiceovers sort of dropped off a little bit.
Yeah,
it's like everything sort of it sort of works each other out.
Yeah.
Somehow in the universe of Max.
Yeah. Between
voiceovers and presenting. It all kind of works itself out. But yeah, there was a crossover across the streams, as Harold Ramis would say, Ghostbusters reference for those of you who know. Where presenting to camera met voiceovers because as I left the job we did last week, just before we recorded last week's podcast, I had a presenting to camera thing in the morning. And it was just a by the way comment. Oh, well, you do have your own studio. Well, if we need to do pickups, you know, we can let you know. So yeah, cool. They did. So there I was recording a few, and it's really strange because I got them to send me the clip that was recorded, so I could hear and remember what, you know, presenting to camera Corbett Max was. Yeah. So that I could do that again. Yeah. And it wasn't just picking up the word that they wanted. I did the whole sentence, like I led into it, because it was easier for me then to have something that they could easily drop in rather than you've got Max being to camera and then there's a word that jumps out of nowhere with it's voiceover Max, you know, it's like, what? So it was by listening to how I sounded like, which is different to how I thought I sound like, of course. Yeah. Presenting to camera in that environment, I could replicate that sentence, get the word they wanted, give them a couple of versions, and make it easier for them to drop in without throwing people off. Yeah, nice. So yeah, across the streams, presenting to camera and voiceover world collided. Beautiful. But it was a marriage made in heaven. Worked well. What can I say? Another paid gig under the belt. Nice. So yeah, so lots coming up. You know what I'm busy with as well. Yeah. Blah blah blah. Writing. So that's right. Because yesterday was, I think, the second last of the 5 weeks of Chris Corbett through the union here in Australia, talking about tips for actors who want to write and bring stories to life. Certainly touched on the fact that, you know, there's so many, it's difficult, even like, what can I say? It's hard enough as it is for an actor. So not a lot of people, some people have found it beneficial to create their own content. Oh, yeah. Yeah. So, you know, you look at Ricky Gervais with The Office. Yeah. As a standout. Oh, yeah, he makes a lot of his shows. There's so many that are Seinfeld with Seinfeld. You know, you want to, because I'm in that league. We'll get there. I still remember him talking about how he's got like a room full of like 30 writers and they're just absolutely going at it with script to rip it to shreds and build it up and then rip it to shreds and build it up before they get an episode. Yeah, nice. So I'm kind of at the stage where I've got some central characters kind of fleshed out. Cool. And some moments, like I keep thinking of these funny moments that'd work well because it is a comedy, so it kind of fits. Mm-hmm. but aren't sort of loosely related to a narrative. Like,
yeah, okay.
So I've got some ideas for some episodes.
Okay.
So I kind of vomit all these ideas onto the page.
Yeah, word vomit.
I then kind of go, that's a cool moment, or actually that could be a cool story, or not quite. You know, it's bigger than just a moment.
Yeah, God, it takes time.
So moments and story ideas, and I'm far from going, okay, I've got a few episodes here. Let's start to flesh it out. And that's kind of okay. I'm learning from the process that Chris is... I mean, look... one thing he said was don't go online and go, here's a template for screenwriting, you know, copy that. Because, I mean, if there was a template that worked, everyone would be doing it, right? And it'd be easy to write something and have it translate from the screen to a great feature film.
True.
But, you know, the best way to do it is to get all your ideas onto the page, flesh them out, don't be precious with them, get ready to bump them. Yep. And before you start approaching production companies, before you start ringing doorbells and going, oh my God, I've got it, hear it first. So get a table read together. Even though you've written a character for yourself, don't read the character. Like, get actors to bring all those characters to life for an episode, for example, for my case, it's a TV show.
Yeah.
So for an episode, and hear it and flesh it out, because then you, as you hear it brought to life, you'll again be able to finesse it even more.
Yeah, right.
So that was, and because I've been a part of a table read with someone who had some success writing for camera, and it was to do with hospitality. That's right. And I was even sharing some of my old stories from hospo days.
Oh yeah,
my hospo scars.
Oh, still there.
But yeah, it was good. We'll call them character building.
Yeah.
Actors around a table, the writer sitting back and listening to it and going, oh, that's interesting about how this, and writing some notes about how an actor reading this character in a certain way brought it to life completely different.
Yeah.
And it resonated with
everyone
me
has
because,
their own interpretation,
isn't it? And sometimes it can really add a whole different lens onto a character that the writer had never thought of.
It'll also, like you're saying, help hearing it and being like, oh, that actually doesn't work when it's said out loud.
I have to get my cousin on for an interview because he taught creative writing at Australian Uni.
Oh yeah.
And the last conversation I had to him, he actually propelled me into this whole writing bit. He sent me a book just from a conversation, totally unsought after. He just sent me this book to read about writing. So anyway, he's written a few screenplays, plays, loves to write poetry, but obviously there's no money in that. So keep that as a passion. But he said what was interesting is that there's one play that he did where he literally just gave up the play and said go for it, and then came back at the end to see it at one of the preview screenings when it was brought to life. And that was the first time he'd done that. Normally he's there for the journey and having the writer in the room, you can make, we could change that to this, or that doesn't work. Yeah, we can finesse, a little bit. It's almost like workshopping to a point.
Yeah.
So he said it was really interesting. Like, just everything was completely different to what he'd imagined in his mind, this whole world of it taking place. But it all worked so well and added so much to it.
Yeah. That's like, this is one of the things I love about.
Yeah, it was so suddenly it was just completely different and threw him for six, but like in a good way, just sort of bumped it up, as opposed to obviously similar journey when you're there for the journey. Yep. But you're obviously seeing it progress and change over time.
Definitely.
So it was really interesting. So totally motivated to keep going with the whole writing thing. Who knows if it works, if it doesn't. But already I know it's helping me when I'm looking at scripts.
Yeah, cool.
In my script analysis, and also like, I've got to learn this guy's name before I keep saying Dr. Creative Writing. But when he sent me his latest script, it helped too, to go over it and go,
Dr. Creative Writing.
Dr. Creative Writing. He does have a name, and I will be professional and learn it before I talk to him. But anyway, so yeah. Who knows? He has got some great. He's already filmed a couple of features. He's written Dr. Creative Writing, and
I just want you to say it again.
My lovely knew who I know, Dr. Creative Writing. But so it's so funny. Anyway, it's just great to know that there was something amazing that I was going to say, but I can't.
Oh no,
that's not great to know. I think I'm done. I think I'm spent. My brain cells just going around circles now.
Oh, that's good. We did
They're just
25.
circling each other. It's like circling a drain. It's like, what?
Oh, look, Freddie's restless as well. Look at him. He's ready to be
Producer
over.
Fred.
Yeah, you're happy with the time? That's good.
Is that all right, Fred?
Time's up, Fred.
We'll get about 20 minutes out of that.
Do you reckon?
Yeah? Yeah? You happy? Good boy?
Okay,
Yeah?
cool.
All right. Good boy. Well done, Fred. Fred gets a sign.
Yeah, that means, get out of here.
Don't forget to like and subscribe. Follow us on social media and engage. Ask us questions. Tell us what you think. Thanks, Fred. You tell us too. And we'll be back next week for another episode of Two Unemployed Actors. I'm Max.
I'm Sam.
Bye.
Two unemployed actors.